Hello and welcome to the latest episode of TEQ. I'm your host, Carolina Milanesi, and I'm coming to you today from a very dark Seattle. It's early in the morning, the sun is not up, and hopefully you'll come in a journey as the light starts coming through. Today, I'm excited to talk about the role that AI plays in transforming customer experience. And we all been on those support calls. We all been trying to get through a problem with a brand. And there's so much information that companies hold about their customers and very little that they're doing with them so far. And I think that the promise of AI is to be able to come in and really transform that experience, making it much more personal and contextual in what problem you're trying to solve, or what service you're trying to deliver, and so forth. And today, I couldn't be any happier to have the guest that I have, because she is an extraordinary leader, but she's also a champion of women in business and a sustainability expert. So I'm getting everything that I'm most passionate about in one guest. Adele Trombetta is the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Customer Experience in EMEA. In 2018, she became the first woman leader in the Middle East. She manages over 6,000 professionals across more than 50 countries. And her ability to orchestrate these many people and business models and just thought leadership is tremendous, and while staying true to herself and the amazing human being that she is. So please welcome with me Adele to the conversation. Thank you, Adele. It's so lovely to see you.
Thank you, Carolina. Thank you for having me and for this fantastic introduction. And I must say that I'm sitting in front of a window looking outside. There is a fantastic sunny day in Italy. So it's a final day for me because, as you know, and as you said, I'm based out of Dubai, but today I have the pleasure to be in our country.
That's lovely. Yes, I left out that party that obviously you are a fellow Italian. So there's going to be a lot of hand waving and and all of it. But I'm delighted because I think when we think about AI, there's so many different implementations. But for me, when I really think about customer experience, and I'm curious about, your take on this, is the fact that from a transformational perspective, there's really about the power of understanding your customer better and increase engagement in a positive way. Am I thinking about this the right way?
The very short answer is you are 100% right. But let me elaborate a bit. And if it's fine for you, let me start asking you a question. So if you are open to that, please close your eyes and think about the term customer experience. And I want to know, what do you see on the screen inside your mind? And then I tell you why.
Oh,
what do you see?
Not a lot, actually.
Because it's early morning. Okay, I can help you. No, but seriously, when I ask this question to the people I interact with, customer partners or peers,
yeah,
what they tell me, the picture that they see is usually a customer talking to an employee of a company, of their company is a customer, and usually it is on phone or in a shop or is testing a new feature of a software product. Actually, in the past, I did something similar. But then I realized, Carolina, and if you think about that, in this representation, there are two things missed. The first is the customer's expectation. And this, because if you think this is something that is formed long before the interaction with the employees or with whoever else. And second, it's a specific moment in time, but actually the customer experience is the result of several touch points. And the interesting part is that each of these touch points is a moment of truth. So the evolution that I've done, starting from myself, and I'm trying also to share with the others, is that when we think about customer experience, we need to think about customer expectation and the journey. But the interesting part, and then I promise I go back to the AI, because here is the where AI can play a role. When you think about the expectation, there is an interesting study done actually 45 years ago by Richard Oliver, and he said there is a theory, the expectation confirmation theory. It is quite interesting because the point is usually the customer expectation is disconfirmed. And that's very interesting, yeah, because think about your experience or your expectations. Usually is or badly disconfirmed, or it's better. It's so, or you have the low, the underperforming on the high, or the overperforming.
That's
And this
true.
is where the role of AI jump in, because the way for us to really overperform, and we should all be obsessed by the overperforming, is to better understand the customer. And to
Yeah.
your first point, it's all about understanding the customer. And here is where the artificial intelligence play an incredible role, because artificial intelligence, net, will allow us to know our customer like we never could and we never did before, because will allow us to collect and analyze data that are related to the single customers. That's the big difference, not the customer, the category of customers,
Yeah.
the single customers. And we'll bring all the conversation to a personal level, and we show us way more competent. Sorry, I interrupted you,
No,
Carolina.
no, not at all. So what you're saying resonates with me because apart from not having had coffee yet and being 6 o'clock in the morning, I didn't have a picture in my, when I close my eyes, because I think it is sometimes a very lonely experience as a customer,
Very
right?
true.
You get to that exchange, and to your point about high expectation or low expectation, you're either delighted, which is not very often because otherwise you don't interact, right, with the brand, but in most cases you're already frustrated, you feel let down, and you kind of feel alone, right? So that's how you enter that experience.
Very true. And if you have all of this knowledge, so you understand better the customer, then to your second point, you can better engage. But here is
Absolutely.
another important point, Carolina, that more and more now with artificial intelligence, we are reflecting about that, because often we do, I believe, a fundamental mistake, that is the short-term engagement. We just think about, okay, let me, as a business person, let me try to
100%.
maximize my return in the short term. But this is really not what we should aim for, especially with the value of artificial intelligence, because we can have the long-term relationship, the long-term engagement, but this is based on something that is particularly important, is the trust. And trust, I believe, is becoming of paramount importance in the context of the artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And I believe that what we really need to do is to maintain the ethical, the transparent, and inclusive. And I know that you and I were very passionate about that, but that's the only way I believe we can really create trust, as such the long-term engagement.
I agree, and I think that that's where, with that long-term engagement, and the trust that you build loyalty with your customers, of
Exactly.
course.
Exactly.
You talked about a journey from a customer experience perspective, and I totally agree with that. And I think that part of it is really about anticipating kind of the need and the desires or problems or whatever it is that the customer is facing. Can AI play a role in that?
AI, I don't want to say is the answer, but definitely can. And it's very simple, because with the AI, now we have the capability to combine millions of data points into billions of different virtual patterns. And then we can test all of that virtually in fraction of seconds. And finally, we translate this pattern into prediction. And the interesting part is that we can visualize all of that with the original question that the customer had in mind. So the beauty, all of that to say, we don't need the customer to tell us what they need. We can really understand and read into their behavior and compare with other patterns. And what I'm more excited about, Carolina, is that we do that for the single specific customers. I remember when I started working on the IT more than 25 years ago. We should not say that, of
Yeah,
course.
let's not date ourselves.
That's dangerous. But I remember that at the time I was a Java developer. So think of me young, super excited about the future. And we started developing the first web applications. And I was all involved into the knowledge management at the time. It was a super innovative topic. And it was all about how we could allow the customer to tell us. So customer has to tell us which are their preferences. And based on that, we could customize the interface. Now after 2 decades, we are in completely different shape. Customer doesn't need to tell us what they want. We can understand from the behavior, we can learn and continuous learning from the behavior and create a tailored experience for the customer. And then look, anticipate the needs is one of the area where AI can help. Then there is all about the we can prevent even issues. So it's not only a matter of anticipate the needs, but it's even a matter of prevent. So all the topics about preemptive, personalized, move from the reactive to the proactive and predictive is where definitely AI can play an important role to offer finally a better customer, I would say an exceptional customer experience.
Yeah, and that preemptive part it makes such a difference in the attitude of the customers when because you feel looked after, you feel that the brand actually knows you and cares for you and is there on your side to take you on that journey. This is great, but the reality is, as I talk to many of my customers, is that a lot of organizations they're talking to are not ready for AI. So one big thing is data. So they might have the data, but that data is not, set in such a way that AI can take advantage of it. What are other challenges that you see from a CX perspective to really take advantage of AI going forward?
Look, first of all, I think that you spot on in the sense that AI is definitely still at the early stage. We all know that it's gonna the revolution has started, but we still don't know how to use, and I would say how to use wisely the AI. That's very important because we know that can be whatever you have something that is powerful, the power can be used in a way or in another. So we really need to be extremely careful. And to your point of industry or customers that are not ready yet, totally. Probably, of course, there are several research, and in particular, we at Cisco, we've done a research, and almost only 14% of customers are telling us that they are ready. Now, which are your point rightly is, okay, but which are the main issues and how we can help them? Look, the data is definitely the number one that is measured because there are tons of data, but as you said, usually these data are siloed and in different departments. So what we really need to do is, first of all, is to define what we call data strategy and integration. So we need to collect all of this data. And the good news is, doesn't matter if the data are different, are not standard, is structured, non-structured data, it's fine. We need to collect that, and then we need to curate them, meaning we need to ensure that these data are transformed into something that is consumable. We need to create a consumable data set. And what is even more important, what is really crucial to me, is that then we need to make sure that they are secure, that are ethical, and that are free from bias. And this is difficult, Carolina, because to make sure that they are free from bias is so important, that the source of data, and especially now with the Gen AI and all the training, we need to make sure that we represent a proper set, a diverse set of data of gender. Otherwise, the problem is really we can amplify problems or the biases problems. Now, data is one, but there are others. And there is another that I know that you are very, very close to. That is the talents. Look, AI is bringing is a revolution and is forcing a transformation on the talent, on the skills of the existing employees and the future one. I believe that what the secret is not only to aim to acquire new talents, AI talents from the market. Yes, of course, but you cannot compromise. You need to use your existing ones, because all the background, the experience that represents your brand, you need to use
your domain expertise that you have on your customer and your organization.
totally. And if you compromise and say, okay, I can acquire from, you can, of course, hire someone that is a prompt engineer. So what? That's just a way to realize and to use the technology. But what the technology does for us, that's the brand, that's your, as you said, your domain of expertise.
Yeah.
And you need to amplify, you need to build on top of that. That's important. And there is often, I see that in the conversation, this is underestimated. So everyone is focused on.
I love this point. Yeah. Because I totally agree with you that is underestimated, and that, there's such fear of AI taking over jobs. And I think this should be part of that conversation of how, the years of experience that you have in the field and the human connection. A lot of that customer experience is a human emotional connection that you're trying to establish, because that's really when your engagement with your customer is at best.
And totally. And this is an element we cannot, as you said, the human, I think that AI has to amplify the human.
Yeah.
Not do the mistake. AI can really do tasks, but the end-to-end job, has to be oversight by the human. So that's key. And there is one final point that is a recurring issues, or something where companies still do not have a firm or a good position, is how to calculate, how to evaluate the return of the investment on AI. Because if you think about it, we tend to measure the quantitative element of any investment that we do, the qualitative as well. And the qualitative, it's important. Think about the customer understand. Yes, in the long term, this will result in dollars as well. But we should not compromise, once again, the short towards the long term. And unfortunately, the investment that the AI requires is quite significant, especially when we start thinking of the generative AI, with all the element of the training, etc. So that's something that still requires work.
Yeah, and I think that is another thing, as you point out, that cannot be underestimated, and not, as much as AI, it can help and is critical, we don't need AI for everything. And so being able to, really be conscious of when, I always make the example, you don't need a large language model to do 2 by 2. You can pick up a calculator and use that. So, let's not throw AI to everything, but be conscious about that, because obviously it's not just the cost, there's sustainability impact on that. I'm curious if you think, or how you think about AI in the context of increasing inclusivity and accessibility in customer experience.
Before I answer to your question, if you allow me, I think you touched such an important point of not try to push AI to everything we do, because, and sorry, I go back to this point because
Yeah.
it's so important. And one of the things that I regularly say to our customer is, please, the first thing first that you need to do is to select the right use cases where you
Yes.
want to apply AI. And in particular, Carolina, I do a step forward where you want to use generative AI, because we have been using AI since decades.
Absolutely. Yeah. Machine learning and yeah.
Exactly. And now we even confuse a bit the difference between AI and the generative AI. Not necessarily we need generative AI. AI per se is, or machine learning is good enough, is learning from the past and help us to predict the future, as we have said. Generative AI doesn't do that, it does other things. So we really need to be conscious of that. So a bit of education is still needed.
Mm,
Back to your question. It is another very close to my heart. I would say definitely, and that's the beauty of the AI. AI can, in general, as we have said, can make better the customer experience of our customers, and in particular of diverse user groups. How to do that? Several ways. Think about AI can help us overcome usage problems. So it means AI can understand, can learn from user interaction, and can understand if there is any disability, as such can adapt to the users. It can make what I love is can make technology more user friendly. So can
yeah.
really help to reduce the divide that there is that we still struggle with. And then, if you think about even AI can help overcoming impairment. That can be in visual impairment or a hearing impairment. This visual can increase and change the contrast, or can provide audio description that is of
Mm-hmm.
course powered by AI. So one level up is can, when indeed it's an hearing impairment, can help offering real-time captioning or the sign language interpretation. And think finally the language barriers. Of course, with AI powered language translation or the natural
Yeah.
language processing, of course, this is not anymore a barrier. But at the same time, you said something important, very important, Carolina, sustainability.
Yes. I knew
You
that might trigger something from you because I know how passionate you are. Yeah.
exactly. I can't, sorry, I know that sustainability is not exactly customer experience, but at the end, is all of us experience, is our future
Absolutely.
generation experience. And look, we always, you and I, we've been discussing about that. Um, Artificial intelligence, of course, we require way more, and is requiring way more energy consumption, as such, cooling and all the rest. However, if we use properly, will allow us to continuously monitor the way we use the resources. So if we use in the right way the artificial intelligence, definitely can help us to improve the usage of the resources, as such have a positive impact on our planet, but requires a lot of proper thinking. So is initially we have an impact unless we use and we think how to better manage the resources that we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, and goes back to the point that we were making that we don't have to use AI for everything. I'm curious from a, your personal perspective. We mentioned cost, and you mentioned that, oftentimes with customer experience, the return is less obvious. You don't immediately see the dollars, you see something
Yes.
else first. So how are you thinking about AI deployment and evaluating the return of investment on AI for CX?
Look, I think that when it comes to the return and to evaluate, we should think, first of all, to the overall CX customer experience quality. With that, I mean, there are several ways we should look at indicators like I don't know, the time spent on site to see if customer is coming back and spending more time, the interaction rate with AI powered tools, or there are these social media sentiment analysis, of course, the traditional NPS score or the
Yes,
customer satisfaction score. These indicators are very important, and again, it's not dollars, but if we improve the quality of the customer experience, this will sooner or later translate into dollars. And the same
absolutely.
is for the operational quality. And I can tell you, even in our daily business, we are using AI in order to, for example, to reduce the mean time to repair. So the time that we need to repair or to fix a problem of our customers. So our customers, they can significantly reduce the downtime of their business. As such, they get dollars. As such, their
Absolutely.
loyalty continue, and this will increase. And the most important thing for me is that we should measure AI in the increase of the quality of our decisions. So with AI,
Mm,
we can enhance the decision making because we can provide actionable insight from the customer data, and we can track metrics like the I don't know number of decision influenced by AI insight, or even look at the outcomes of this decision and the speed. We know that another important the gold mine is data, of course, but is even time, especially
yeah.
crazy world we are living in. So much important to measure that. Very final consideration. I truly believe that we AI will help us with data totally, but more importantly, we need to think that, and it's important the quality of the data, but more importantly is the usage that we do of this data. So to me, it's like really the data are the like the atom, but it's the combination of where the strong power, the energy comes from.
Yeah, I tend to say that I hope that AI is gonna allow us to do more with less, right?
Mm.
Like be able to action more using less data, so that, our customers don't feel that, they're being exploited in a way, right? From the level of data that we have. So I agree with you that outcome and how we get to that outcome is important.
Correct.
We're almost out of time, but I cannot let you go before I ask you, and we go back to the very beginning about human-centric customer experience. And how do you think a business can ensure that very powerful AI-driven customer experience remains empathetic and human-centric, and also aligned to the corporate values, the brand values that a company has?
I think you and we said that at the beginning. The very important point is the trust. We need to maintain this trust, and this is not negotiable. So what we should understand that this is not negotiable, and
Yes.
in order to maintain that, what do we need to make sure that we have the human oversight. So while AI can handle many tasks, as we said, I truly believe that the human oversight is essential to ensure that AI-driven interaction are appropriate and sensitive of the customer needs. And I truly believe to the point of AI that will not replace the human. Human ethics is one thing that AI definitely cannot replicate. And then, Carolina, we have to maintain a transparent communication. We need to tell to our customer when we are using AI,
Yes.
how we are using AI, because it needs to be a choice. Customer has to have the choice to use AI or not to use AI, because it's important. They know that if they do, we track a lot of data, sometimes even personal data. They need to be able to tell us, yes, I want, or no, I don't. And last but very important point is the continuous training, the learning and the measurement of, we need to continue to measure how we use AI, because AI system must be continuously training on diverse data sets. As I
Yeah.
said, because to understand really and serve and represent a wide range of customer needs and avoid biases and ensure the inclusivity that for both of us is so important.
Yeah, 100%. And I knew it before I asked you to come on this podcast because we worked together for a while now. But as I close this conversation, I really wish, and I'm not just doing lip service to you because you're here, you know me well enough. I wish that every leader had your understanding of the task at hand for you is CX, but that desire to build an inclusive future for all, which is a Cisco tagline and goal, and the understanding of a sustainability aspect. Because when you bring all of that, especially for something as critical to human interaction as customer service is, you're only going to be successful. And so I'm extremely grateful that you came on this podcast and you shared your wisdom. And I hope that other people will see your success and understand that bringing all those aspects of the world that we live in together and the business and really drive to be inclusive and sustainable is the only way to go. So
Yes.
thank you, Adele.
Thank you, Carolina, for having me, and looking forward to the next opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and thank you for squeezing us in while you're in Italy.
Thank you.
Ciao.